Laken Riley was a 22-year-old nursing student at Augusta University in Athens, Georgia. Laken had recently transferred from the neighboring University of Georgia because she wanted to be a nurse. Laken was also a runner. She competed in cross country in high school and continued running recreationally in college. On February 22nd, she decided to take a morning run. She headed over to the running paths near the intramural fields in Lake Herrick on the UGA campus. When she did not return from her morning run, her roommate called police. Laken's body was found less than an hour later near Lake Herrick. The initial investigation revealed she died from blunt force trauma and her skull was disfigured. Investigators worked quickly and identified a suspect through surveillance video, which showed a suspect wearing a very specific hat. Next, they located a man fitting the description who was wearing the hat. That suspect, Diego Ibarra, was detained for having a fake green card, but not implicated in Laken's abduction and murder. Instead, investigators arrested his brother, Jose Ibarra, who also entered the country illegally, and have charged him with the murder of Laken Riley. Tonight, the latest from the courtroom as we take a look at the arrest video and explore the motive. Was it sexual assault? We are live from the courthouse with all the latest. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard on this Monday, day two of a huge case, a huge trial that we're covering here on Court TV involving the murder of a young woman named Laken Riley. You have to understand who Laken Riley was. She wanted to be a nurse. And to me, that speaks volumes about who she is, who she was, what her character was made of, right? Young people today are so, not all of them, but many are very focused on themselves, right? Instagram and all those things, and you want to be an influencer. Nothing wrong with that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that coming from a guy who's on television, right? But the path she chose was to help other people and be there for people in their moments of need, to make things easier and better for them, to provide that comfort and that health care and that treatment. I mean, she was preparing for a career where every day at work, she'd be with people who were going through something terrible, and she would be there to help them through it. And she's, you know, young and saying, that's what I want to do with my life. That tells you what we lost here, what the world lost. And obviously her family, her friends, the whole community up in Athens, Georgia. But that's who Laken was. She was also a fighter. She fought for her life. She did everything right in that moment when she sensed danger. She's trying to call 911. She's fighting off her attacker, doing anything and everything she can to survive. She wasn't able to, but you know, she fought hard. And by fighting hard, she may very well have provided some of the most important evidence in the case so that the man responsible could be convicted. And that also speaks volumes about Laken Riley. Now, the defendant, the suspect in this case, the one who's been accused of this horrific attack and murder, was caught on camera. And that's how this investigation went. Surveillance videos that existed, that were recorded, that investigators tracked down to find a suspect and figure this out. They worked very quickly. They did a really good job. But these videos are a very important part of, were an important part of the investigation, but are now a very important part of this trial. And video evidence, from my perspective, is something that you almost expect in cases with the cameras everywhere where they are. So that expectation, I believe, will be met in this case. It's not a jury, it's a judge. But you still want to make sure you have the right person and you can connect all those dots. And this guy is like literally caught red-handed. That's one of the issues when he's caught, is that his hands are red. Why are they red? Well, that's up to the judge to figure out. But again, speaks volumes inside the courtroom when you've got the wounds and the markings that can connect you to this horrific attack. So it's day 2. Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft was inside the courtroom all day and joins us live tonight. Kelly, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Day 2 of this case against the accused barbaric killer. What can you tell us about day 2?
Well, hi there, Vinny. An emotional day in court once again. Laken Riley's family inside that courtroom. At one point, you could see her mother breaking down when one of the state witnesses was talking about the last moments that when Laken Riley's heart began to stop. So her heart was beating and then began to stop. They were describing how she was out on a run, and then they showed a graph. And that's when Laken Riley's mother began to cry. You could tell inside the courtroom. Another bit of emotion we saw inside the courtroom was from the defendant, usually pretty stoic. But during these jailhouse phone calls, this is the state playing these jailhouse phone calls, they began monitoring, law enforcement began monitoring Jose Ibarra's calls when he was behind bars in March of 2024. And this particular call, we're going to play for you a bit of it, is between him and his wife. And we noticed when the state was playing this phone call, when he is hearing his wife say in Spanish, "Enough, enough. You know something about this girl. Tell me what you know." He begins to shake his head back and forth really rapidly. Why don't we go ahead and play a little bit of that testimony?
Okay. She continues to ask him what happened with the girl. Okay. She tells him, "Don't wait for me to come and see you because they will not let me see you. Immigration told me that if I step foot over there, I will be in trouble." Okay. She said that she thinks it's crazy that they don't have anyone else's DNA, they only have his. And she said she doesn't understand how someone can see someone dying and not call 911.
So you heard the witness on the stand translating that phone call. Defense counsel was trying to object at times, saying that she should not be the one that gets to translate these phone calls, objecting to these phone calls in general, but that obviously did not go over with the judge, and he allowed this phone call to be played. Vinny.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, pretty revealing, and that's the other part of the story, right? This is a guy, who was married, had a child, and was living prior to coming to Georgia up in New York. Today, also, some important body camera video shown to the judge.
Vinny, the state did say during its opening, you look at the video evidence in this case, along with the forensic evidence, along with the digital evidence, and all of it is going to point to Jose Ibarra. This body camera footage that was played today in court showing Jose Ibarra with all of these marks, scratches, redness on his hands. And what the law enforcement said today during testimony was that he really had no explanation. Jose Ibarra really had no explanation as to why he had these marks on his hand. At one point, just saying that the reason his knuckles were red was because it was cold outside. Why don't we listen to a bit of that testimony?
I noticed on his right arm, his bicep, there was a scratch, which I identified as a potential defensive wound. On his left arm, he had a forearm scratch that was very similar, which in my mind, looked like fingernail scratches to me. While he was sitting there speaking to us, I also noticed on his left wrist, just below the palm, he had a puncture, maybe a ½ inch wide, that through my experiences of playing sports in high school and receiving the same injury from fingernails in football, I could see like wet flesh, like almost like it was fresh. It wasn't very old, possibly still irritated. And as he moved his wrists, when I was looking at them closely, I could actually see the liquid, or I guess body fluids that would be in that cut, kind of reflecting with light.
State's 186. Who is that?
That's Jose Ibarra.
And Vinny, defense counsel has been trying to paint the picture that this was somebody else that possibly did this to Laken Riley, that it was not Jose Ibarra in this case, but from those fresh wounds that you see, law enforcement quickly put their finger on Jose Ibarra, thought this is the guy, and the evidence, as we have seen so far in court, the state is doing a very thorough job of presenting this evidence and letting it point to Jose Ibarra.
And it's all because of Laken Riley fighting back in that moment. First trying to call 911, then attempting to fight off her attacker. Powerful, powerful stuff. Other important witnesses today taking the stand.
More law enforcement officials, Vinny, and talking about this digital evidence in this case, the digital footprint of the phone belonging to Jose Ibarra, or the phone that he used, and that's what the state was making clear today with the witnesses on the stand. And one really important moment is when the witness was talking about when Laken Riley's phone and Jose Ibarra's phone overlapped in regard to their digital footprint. Let's listen to that testimony.
From what time period to what time period did Laken Riley's digital profile and the Jose Ibarra device profile overlap in the forest?
I would say that the devices came in contact somewhere around the late portions of 9:10. So until approximately, I would say somewhere around the 9:30 to 9:32 time period.
And then that device, the Jose Ibarra device, is on the move at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Agent Burning was really describing the moment that Jose Ibarra's phone left his residence. So that was at 6:52 a.m. and then he returns back to his residence at 9:50 a.m. Also, they talked about a peeping Tom incident in which Jose Ibarra's phone was also located, that digital footprint also having that mark just around the same time as this peeping Tom incident happened. We heard from that witness today, audio only. Let's play that.
I was in the shower and I heard somebody trying to open my door. Initially, I thought it was coming from upstairs, but when I stepped out of the bathroom, I noticed that it was coming from my front door. When I went to see who it was, I saw someone through the peephole trying to open it.
Could you describe the person that you saw?
The person had a black hood, black hat, black jacket, and black gloves, but I could not see the person's face.
So that person, again, just via audio, Vinny, but important testimony from her as well, because establishing, that Jose Ibarra was out and about that morning doing a peeping Tom incident. She saw him by her window, and then later on, we also heard from another witness who testified that she saw Jose Ibarra on that running trail. She got a little frightened. She said that when she was out running, she made certain to run a lot faster when she passed him because he had his back toward the trail. She didn't know it was Jose Ibarra or if it was, but she believes, and the state is insinuating that it was.
Well, I mean, if she hears someone trying to get in the door, that goes beyond peeping Tom. I mean, from my perspective, peeping Tom, you're looking, you're taking a look, but if you are actively trying to open a door to see if you can gain entry, that's something much different, and I don't think that's going to get past the judge. I think the judge is going to understand this is somebody who appears to be on the hunt for a victim. That's the picture that's being painted to me. One last thing I want to follow up on, because the wife and the child are in New York. This is all taking place in Georgia. Like, how does he end up in Georgia?
Well, one of the things that we got from that jailhouse phone call, Vinny, is about him possibly looking for work. So it appears that he was maybe down here looking for some sort of employment. She's asking him about that on the phone call. You could just hear in her voice. She sounds frustrated, erratic. She's in disbelief as to what she clearly has been hearing about this situation. So it appears that he was down here in Georgia because he was looking for work.
Oh, they do have jobs in New York. There's a few businesses up there as well. Probably more than in Athens, Georgia. Anyway, Kelly Craft, thank you so much. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone tonight. We're going to get into some more of the specifics here, but I wanted to focus first on this trial, Al. This trial. They chose to try it in front of a judge. I don't understand that. It makes no sense. We know what the ending is already. Why on earth would anyone agree to a bench trial in a case like this when you are contesting some of the evidence, perhaps pointing the finger elsewhere? Like, do you really think there's any chance that this judge falls for this? Like, these are the types of arguments you'd expect one of the 12 to maybe fall for. You're not going to get a judge to fall for this. By the way, the judge knows all the evidence in the case, including the evidence that's not admissible, by the way.
Okay. We just got done with, I believe, a presidential election in which an issue that was made fairly prominent was that these individuals were coming over the border and attacking people left and right. Illegal immigrants were coming and attacking citizens of the United States, and they were blaming it on a certain party. And in light of that, and especially in a battleground state like Georgia, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. I put myself in that situation where I would probably want to be with the judge. I think the judge is going to be a lot more careful weighing the evidence. I think the judge is going to be less apt to jump to the hysteria that has been brought out with regards to illegal aliens attacking residents and attacking citizens and everything along those lines.
Al, in the courtroom, it's DNA, it's fingerprints, it's it's wounds on his hands, it's digital evidence and footprint. This isn't a case where the prosecutor's trying to make a political statement. This is like textbook, all the evidence you would ever expect: digital, video, fingerprint, DNA, motive, opportunity, all of that. It's all there. You're not gonna turn this into a political thing, and the prosecutor's not even trying to do that.
No, they're not trying to. I'm not saying the prosecutor's trying to turn it into that. It's already into it. Okay, it's an issue that has come across that we're seeing, and I know Darnell's seeing this and everything else with regards to cases where you have illegal immigrants that are charged with crimes. Okay, you have to be very careful with regards to the hysteria that's been set forth in this country regarding that issue. And sometimes that means having to go in front of a judge. And I think that in this instance, it was the smarter move making it a bench trial. And you know what? They're going to hold their feet to the fire. I think the judge is going to be very, very judicious with regards to how he, runs this trial and what he lets in and what he doesn't let in. And I think it's a smart move under the circumstances.
Darnell, looking at how this is transpiring here, I mean, all the boxes are being checked in everything that a prosecutor wants in a case. Everything. I guess I've seen jurors bamboozled. I haven't seen a judge bamboozled.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Vinny. And I have to say, one, my heart goes out to the family. And, as Al indicated, we have a new president. I'm glad the country's heading in the right direction. And this shouldn't happen no matter who the defendant is. But we definitely want to control these borders and make sure that people are more accountable, because when they're coming from places that have different judicial systems, some things like this happen. And our deterrents that we have here, they may not be used to it. And so it's the Wild Wild West. So I'm glad that we're heading in the right direction. But in terms of the choice of jury trial versus the bench trial, if it's strictly a legal question, then I understand Al's position, which a judge can weigh in illegal questions. When it's a factual question and the defense may be saying it's not my guy, then you want one of those 12 people to probably go, hey, you know what, they might have a point there. And that's all you need to have a hung jury. You're not going to have a hung bench, that's for sure, unless he's bipolar.
I've never seen the bench hang. I've never seen the bench hang. It's one or the other, and it's usually the other. Jennifer Brandt, let me ask you about that phone call with his wife. I mean, seems like she pretty much knows and is kind of conceding that, yeah, he did it.
Oh, yeah. She was angry at him for a variety of reasons. You could hear it in her voice, but particularly about, what happened to the girl. What did you, sort of like, how could somebody watch somebody die like that without calling 911? So she definitely knows that he's been up to something not good. And who knows the reason why, he said he came to Georgia for work, but who knows what was even going on in their relationship. But she sounds pretty angry about him. And, she may know his character, and maybe he was the type of guy that did go out looking for other women or did go out looking for victims. So she sounds pretty angry.
Also
at him
the kind of guy who would drive under the influence with a child in the vehicle with him, that kind of guy that would then do that in New York and then, come down to Georgia looking for work. As opposed to, like, there's a few help wanted signs up in New York, by the way.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about a key piece of evidence in the case, which is the hat that the suspect was wearing. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates the cult baby murder trial. Is Chloe Driver a victim of the cult or a cold-blooded baby killer? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
This case, brutal murder of Laken Riley.
We have a suspect. He did not know her at all.
Such a violent act. Will there be justice for Laken Riley?
The murder of Laken Riley. Live coverage weekday mornings, only on Court TV.
Campus is really heavy right now. We're all heartbroken. I want to use this time to tell you about Laken and all she was to Alpha Chi. It is so obvious to me why it feels so dark right now, and that is because we lost one of the brightest lights that there's ever been. This campus and our sisterhood will never be the same without Laken Riley. She was devoted to making this world a better place, and we have no doubt that she would have been an incredible nurse. It is absolutely earth-shattering to think that the world will never have that opportunity, but the impact that she made within her 22 years was enough to last a lifetime and beyond.
Really an incredibly touching moment when you see one of Laken's friends and classmates and all the other students gathered around speaking about this loss of 22-year-old Laken Riley. Now, the man who is charged with her murder, when he was originally a suspect, when he was arrested, the officers had body cameras on. Let's take a look at that arrest video.
Hold on. 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 Policia. Hey. Policia, vamos. Everybody else. El patito de la cama. Alright, please slowly. También acá, despacito. ¿Tienes algo en tus bolsas? ¿Hay alguien más aquí dentro? No. Conmigo. ¿Dentro acá?
I asked them, I have a question, why, and then I point to his to my left knuckle, why is this red? He responds by saying that because of the cold.
Because of the what?
The cold.
What happened to his arm? What happened there?
I asked what happened there, and he said that he had a scratch, but he didn't exactly explain from where or how. What happened there? Pause it, please. First he says, I don't have anything there, there's nothing there, and then he starts pointing at it again, saying that, oh, it's just a scratch.
Okay. So when he said that there was nothing there, could you see something there?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
What could you see?
It looked like I don't know exactly the time, but I could see there was still a little bit of pus in it.
Pus?
So it didn't look very old.
Okay.
But I could see that there was a scratch on his wrist. I asked him to raise up his hair. I also asked him to raise up both sides of his hair.
What did you observe when he raised up his hair?
I could see that there was a red mark going across, like as if he had been wearing a hat. He explains to me that he wears a hat, a gorra, a hat, and continue.
What kind of hat did you wear?
I then ask him what type of hat, and he motions over to Diego, who's sitting to the right of him, that it's a hat very similar to that one that was on Diego's head.
The hat. The hat. So he's got this red line across his forehead. Where does it come from? Points to his brother and says, the hat. Let's take a look at his brother, Diego Ibarra. And there he is wearing an Adidas hat. He's got the lines also. You should probably loosen the hat up there. Yeah, just a suggestion. But anyway, significant. You see the little tag on the hat, and you see the Adidas logo, and Diego is wearing the hat. Why is all of that significant? Excuse me. Take a look at this video of the suspect. What's in that right hand? What's on the hat? On the head, it's a hat. And this is disposing of some evidence in the dumpster at the apartment complex. So, who is this person? That's the real question, right? When you're looking at someone disposing of evidence that gets retrieved, and you knew right from the beginning that he's wearing some sort of a hat, and you could see the hat on his head. It's very, very obvious. Now, take a look at this. This is the enhanced video by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Cyber Unit, and it's clear that it is an Adidas logo on the front of a black hat. And I think if you look closely, I don't know if you can see the sticker or not, if the sticker is on there, but it appears that there's a sticker on the rim as well. So this is interesting, right? Because at the time police show up, yeah, he's got a red line on his head, but Diego, his brother, not Jose, the suspect, the defendant, is wearing the hat. Let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch III, Darnell Crossland, and Jennifer Brandt. And Darnell, this, from my perspective, I don't want to give advice to the defense. That's not my job. But it just runs counterintuitive, because this is something that I could see a defense attorney latching onto in front of the 12 and say, well, was it Jose or was it Diego? Well, who's wearing the hat? We saw the hat in the video. We saw the hat in the arrest video, and we see the hat not on Jose, but on his brother, Diego. What do you think of the hat?
I think the hat is crucial because with the cyber unit's enhanced video, it shows that that hat was clearly involved. That hat was in proximity. So I think a lot of times you shift it to these other two to say, to say, well, he had the hat or he had the hat. When they start fighting over who had the hat, then we're in a good place. But for sure, Diego or Jose, one of them had that hat, and they have to do some explaining.
Yeah. Jennifer, do you like social media?
I sure do, Vinny.
Well, I do too. You know who else likes social media? Are investigators and prosecutors as well. Because take a look at what was on Jose's Snapchat. Oh, it's Jose wearing the Adidas hat on his head.
Hood, too.
Now, this is 4:30 a.m. on the left and 5:37 a.m. on the right on the day of the murder, just hours before the murder. So what are your thoughts now about the hat? Is that going to be enough for a judge to believe that it's Jose and not Diego?
Well, I think it points to the fact that Jose wore the hat as well as Diego. And then you have another roommate who testified, I believe, today, who said that the brothers shared clothes oftentimes. So it could be either party's hat, but the hat was definitely in proximity to these two brothers. And Jose is the brother that had the scratches and the markings on him, not Diego. So that plus the social media, it seems like it's pointing to that they got the right guy, Jose.
It's a little problematic,
Diego,
to say the least.
Yeah,
now, Al,
for sure. Mm-hmm.
Al, would this change your mind, this hat trick, on going with a jury rather than a judge? Like, to me, this is like that little argument that someone could get caught up on. I don't see a judge getting caught up by this, but are you surprised that you wouldn't want to play this hat trick in front of a jury rather than a judge?
I don't know. I think it's a tough call either way, to be candid with you. I don't know what I would want to do in this type of an instance. I've had jury trials. I've had bench trials. I feel that sometimes on a bench trial, the judge will go that extra mile on things and be very, very, scrutinize very well each piece of evidence with regards to same. The comment I have, though, is what you hit the nail on the head on. How are they wearing this hat so tight?
Yeah.
That has got to be so uncomfortable. I can't even imagine what that to leave a red band across your forehead like that. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's the weird thing about when you see him walking to the dumpster. It kind of puts the hat on in such a way that it makes it look like it's a little big for his head. But you have that tight band, which demonstrates that hat is not only a fitted hat, but it's fitted way too small.
Yeah,
watch the way he puts the hat on. He puts the hat on very casually.
Right.
When you have a hat that's tight, you almost have to kind of push it down, and he doesn't do that there, which is an odd point.
Yet he still had a line after taking the nap for forever how long. And his brother clearly had the hat on for a while, because his brother's lines are like deep, dark red. And meanwhile, Jose's is a little bit lighter after his little nap that he took. I don't know. I don't know if there's some alternative reason why this is in front of a judge. I don't understand it. I really don't. But I'm not complaining. I'm just curious, and I'm always wondering what the defense may have up their sleeves as to why they're doing this. But they are.
And that nap was because killing people makes you very tired, Vinny.
Gotcha. Let's do this. Think Tank staying with us when we come back. Was Laken Riley the target of a sexual assault? Was that the motivating factor here? Was he on the prowl as a predator looking for a victim?
On February 22nd, Jose Ibarra put on a black hat, a hoodie-style jacket, and some black kitchen-style disposable gloves. And he went hunting for females on the University of Georgia's campus. And in his hunt, he encountered 22-year-old Laken Riley on her morning jog. And when Laken Riley refused to be his rape victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock repeatedly.
The prosecution's theory in this case is pretty clear on what motivated this attack by Jose Ibarra. He was going out to sexually assault, to rape someone, and was looking for a victim, whoever would come across his path. I want you to take a look at some video here that was shown in court. And prosecutors are saying this is Jose Ibarra at someone else's apartment, jiggling the door, trying to get in after peeping through the window, like trying to break in to another young woman's apartment. Like he's opening the door, he's trying to get in. She can hear it from the inside. Approached the door 6 different times between 7:01 and 7:57 a.m. Laken was murdered just after 9 a.m. Attempted to open the front door twice. The student was in the shower at the time. She called 911 after spotting him. She knew something wasn't right here. She also described that person as wearing a black hat and a black hoodie. Let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crosland, and Jennifer Brand. Jennifer, to me, you're putting these pieces together, and they're doing a great job inside the courtroom. But you're wondering, why would he do this? Why would he do this? Well, it's getting much, much more obvious here as you see him in that video, and then the testimony of the young woman inside about what was happening. She knew what was happening.
100%, Vinny. He was out to find a victim that morning, and he apparently tried to get into this woman's apartment first. He got frustrated. She called him out. She came to the door, asked who it was. He ran off. And, you know, then he waits on the trail for someone else to come along. Unfortunately, Laken Riley was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, it could have been any other woman that was jogging along that path. There are plenty of students that did jog that path regularly. And we know that he didn't know her. He had no prior contact with her, no reason to attack her other than to try and sexually assault her. She fought back, you know, and attacked him, and unfortunately ended up dead as a result. So he was definitely looking for a victim that morning, I think, without a doubt.
Let's take a listen to now the defense from their opening statement talking about this alleged motive.
The evidence that Jose Ibarra killed Laken Riley is circumstantial. The evidence that anyone had any intent or certainly committed any sexual assault is speculation.
Is it speculation? Let's take a listen to Sergeant Kenneth Maxwell. Then I want you to hear from Laken's roommate in describing the way that Laken was found versus the way Laken normally dresses.
It appeared that her clothing, at least her shirt, had been removed to up above her breasts. It did not look as if something had like unintentionally happened, as if, you know, somebody falls and has a wardrobe malfunction. It looked more intentional, as if somebody had attempted to either remove her top or maybe had used it to drag her. She had on a pair of like running leggings, and it looked like in the front side her underwear was bunched up towards the top end.
Was her navel exposed?
Yes.
When Laken would wear her running tights, were her tights above her belly button, or would she wear them below her belly button?
Always above.
And did you ever see, in the times that you were with Laken, did you ever see her running with her underwear on the outside of her running tights?
No.
Take a look. We have the images now. Let's drop that so we can see them. Drop the words. And you take a look, and you can see here, Al, that the way she normally dresses and the way it was described at the scene. We've also got pictures of her doing, I think, jumping jacks. This is from her marathon here. She's doing jumping jacks. It seems pretty clear, Al, that this was sexually motivated, sexual violence. I'm not going to call it sex. It's sexual assault, rape, violence, however you want to describe it. But that seemed to be the motivating factor in why Laken was attacked, and then when she fought back, she was murdered.
It's hard to argue with you on that. I mean, why else would he have attacked her under the circumstances? I mean, someone who's jogging is not carrying a large amount of cash with them or a large amount of jewelry or anything else that would be worth stealing. So it most certainly was a sexual assault or an attempted sexual assault. Just by the placement or the disarray with regards to the clothes that she was wearing. It was certainly the motive on it. And the fact that there was someone in the area that was a peeping Tom and trying to get in demonstrates that somebody was on the prowl. And that somebody was there looking for something other than a robbery, and looking there for a sexual assault, which is clear under these circumstances.
You know, Darnell, as we continue, the prosecution putting these pieces together very quickly in front of this judge. I mean, everything to me makes common sense. There isn't that piece of evidence or part of the story that we see in a lot of other cases that we cover here day in and day out that's like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. What's going on over here? None of that is here. None of it.
Yeah, and the funny thing, the thing is that we're looking for evidence, right? And so the problem I have with the defense's opening statement is that he gave us the evidence, but he doesn't have much to work with. So what he said, listen carefully, he says the evidence of his client's guilt is circumstantial. It doesn't matter. We have direct evidence, we have circumstantial evidence, and you get a jury charge that tells you you can consider circumstantial evidence just as you would direct evidence. So, you know, you get the whole example, if you went to bed.
Well, that's another, but Darnell, that's another great argument why a bench trial is silly here. Like, that's like the go-to by the defense. This is just a circumstantial case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. But
yes.
You're not going to say that to the judge, because the judge knows that the circumstantial evidence is just as strong, if not more compelling, than a lot of direct evidence, like potential false confessions and direct evidence of eyewitnesses who 10 people see something and get 10 different stories. So I think the judge gets it.
He's not going to go for the head fake.
Nope, not at all.
But Vinny, you know what? The one thing on this case that's really kind of bizarre is how calm this guy is during his when he's meeting with the police. That is absolutely baffling to me.
To me, that's scary. That is scary.
That is scary.
We're out of time, Al. We're out of time, Al. I hate cutting off Al Wunsch or Darnell or Jennifer, but I got to cut all three of them off because we're out of time. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. When we come back, I'll reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinny Politan Investigates, we take you inside the Zionist cult which abused women and children as we speak live with one of their survivors and one of the men who saved them.
Join Court TV's Vinny Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinny Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
You will see this 13-month-old beautiful baby girl who had been brutally murdered by her mother.
The Cult Baby Murder Trial. Trial coverage weekdays, 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Pickle kicked. Violence on a pickleball court? Are you kidding me? Peter Schank was knocked out during a pickleball tournament. Footage of the attack was posted to X by the Kitchen Pickleball. But I have to warn you, believe it or not, on this pickleball court, this video is violent. As a pickleball player, that's outrageous. As a former prosecutor, that's a crime, folks. All right. Take a look at your television screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. Peyton Audrey Rogers, missing since November 7th, 2024. Missing out of Mumford, Tennessee, 16 years old. This is what you need to do. If you see Peyton, pick up the phone, make the call, make a difference. You can call 911. You can call 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Mumford Police Department in Tennessee. That phone number's on your screen. Let's see if we get Peyton to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got another hour of live true crime. Vinny Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.